Welcome back, friends. I hope that you are staying dry and perhaps warm as well on this rainy day. We're here, it's fall, and I'm so glad that we are, preparing ourselves for all kinds of exciting events here at First St. Andrews with regards to intergenerational worship services. This Sunday, it's an important day. It's where we honor and acknowledge the truth and reconciliation efforts that have been undertaken in this country and by us as a community of faith. We'll be addressing that. There are a lot of things that are clamoring for our attention, and all of them are good, so fear not. If you have to choose one or two, that's okay. Others will choose the others, and we're going to keep this thing rolling. This last Sunday, I had the privilege or burden, it depends on how one approaches it, of taking on a pretty difficult passage. It's one that I think probably for everybody has caused us to pause and consider and reconsider what it is Jesus is talking about. It's some pretty heavy language that he uses, namely the idea of pitting family members against one another, and doubles down on that paraphrase of Micah 7:6, and in the language of the gospel itself says, you have to essentially, in comparison to your commitment to me, hate your mother or your brother or whomever. In other words, your relationship to family or to anything else has to pale in comparison to your commitment to me. Now that's hard to kind of sit with. And the more I reflected on it, I thought, well, sometimes we have to use strong language to make a point. It doesn't mean that it's disingenuous, but we have to be subtle, maybe, in our handling of certain passages. And I think in this regard, Jesus is going to drop something out there like prophets do. But for those of us that choose to follow this way, it's our task to wrestle and negotiate it. So what I tried to do on Sunday was to say, okay, there will be different things that unconsciously and consciously want to take the place of the ultimate. But for us as people of faith, there is one ultimate placeholder, right? And it goes by different names. We can say God, Creator, Reality, Source. I mean, the list goes on. The litany of names is endless, according to Thomas Aquinas. So we're going to let those be what they are. But there are other items in our life that are, I should say, almost ever present. We all have families of origin, and then, of course, families of choice. We also live within some kind of political structure, right? So there's some sort of nation or country in which we live. And many of us, not all, but many of us are raised within some sort of religious climate. And so I said that these categories, family, nation, and religion, very often, unconsciously and consciously, try to usurp the place of the ultimate, God, Creator. And that gets us into big trouble, because in the Hebrew Bible, to a lesser extent in the Christian scriptures, but certainly in the Hebrew Bible, that usurping would be described as idolatry. When we choose to give all of our time, energy, and allegiance, when we give our best to family, nation, and religion, then we're not giving our best to our source, to Creator. And that is called idolatry. In the Ten Commandments, which we are all at least somewhat familiar, it says, "Thou shalt have no other gods before me." Well, family, nation, and religion are often vying for a kind of godlike position in our lives. The difficulty, though, is that I don't want anybody to hear me entirely disparaging those things. We live within a nation. We should do everything we can to build it up and make it better, for sure, right? Because it's where we are, it's our home. We also have families, and they're not, no family is perfect. We all have our warts maybe, but it is our responsibility to live in right relation where we are. So considering that these are things that are perhaps a little inevitable in our lives, it's not to say we should throw them out, but rather that we should find a way to enter into right relation, which is not having them in the place of God, but having them here and ultimately subject themselves to what we believe is ultimate. Let me rephrase that. if we believe we are being called to do something by our faith, right, by Creator, if we are called to live a certain way, then these categories over here cannot get in the way of that. If they seek to interfere, then they're trying to usurp that. And so we have to put them in right relation. We love our family. We try to build up and empower wherever it is we live, our nation, our country, our home. And then even our religion, whether you're Muslim, Buddhist, Christian, Jewish, it doesn't matter. You should try to improve, let us say, on what has passed for religious practice in that tradition. We're always growing. We're always being opened to new truth and to perhaps deeper truth. So my goal this Sunday and my goal here is just to encourage you as you go about your week and your day to not see religion or religious practice or family or nation as ultimate ends. They are helpful vehicles. They might encourage us, they might challenge us, but that our end, our ultimate God, Creator, reality, that holds everything, right, in right relation. And as long as we get that alignment correct, then I believe we're not going to be interfered with or disrupted. And where we are disrupted and interfered with, we still are able to go to the ultimate for our strength and our sustenance. And that's what's going to give us the resilience that we need to move forward and help make this world a better place. So take that for what you will. I hope there's a nugget in there at least that you can carry with you this week. And I look forward to seeing you next Tuesday.